Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today's sit down video is going to be all about disordered eating and eating disorders and exercise. Little just side note while we're here, I cannot for the life of me find a good place to record in my apartment just because of the way the sound carries and the layout of the place I'm living. So we are in my bedroom right now and this little corner that I feel like will enclose the sound better, and this is my year-round Christmas tree. So I'm not crazy, I know it's July, but I keep this little Christmas tree up just to remind me of Christmas time, my favorite time of the year. So bear with me as we have Christmas decorations in the background of this video in the middle of July. Okay, anyways, so two disclaimers that are very important for this video if you're watching. First of which is just general trigger warning. If you struggle with compulsive exercise, disordered eating, eating disorders, all the things, body image, and you're not in a place to really talk about exercise specifics. We're not going to get into like numbers, calories, weight, any of that. That's just not my thing. But if talking about these topics or hearing someone talk about them is triggering for you, I would just recommend skipping over this video and maybe watching it when you're in a better place. Second really important disclaimer is medical disclaimer. This is not medical advice. I am not a licensed medical provider. I'm a nurse, but I cannot give medical advice on the internet. So just general medical disclaimer, always refer back to your healthcare team in terms of making decisions regarding your health. Cool? Glad we're on the same page. So a little bit of background for you guys, if you haven't watched any of my other eating disorder related videos, is that I had an eating disorder in high school from about age 14 or so. I usually date it back to up until 19 or 20 is when I started recovery. So I had anorexia and orthorexia. Anorexia, most of you probably know what that is. Compulsive starvation usually involves compulsive exercise as well, but no purging behaviors. And then orthorexia is like the anorexia, but more around like clean eating, healthy eating, kind of that like wellness diet mentality that's very ritualistic and has some elements that are similar to obsessive compulsive disorder. So I struggled with both of those for a very long time and have been in recovery for about 5 or 6 years now. I would say that I'm not fully recovered, but I'm very close. People ask me that a lot. So I don't feel comfortable saying I am recovered, but I would say I'm in very, very strong and stable recovery, close to fully recovered, which is super exciting. So part of my eating disorder in high school and early college was exercise. I was always a very active kid. I loved dancing, playing in the backyard, but was never one for sports. So I kind of just, did movement however I wanted. But it wasn't until I think I was in the 8th grade when my eating disorder really started, when those seeds were getting planted, that I picked up compulsive running. Ended up doing long distance running in high school, not for a sport, just on my own time. I was also in my school's dance company, doing Orange Theory classes, hot yoga with my mom, all the things, and just completely wearing out my body. Didn't have a period for 5 years. We'll do a whole separate video about that sometime because my little women's health loving heart loves to talk about menstrual cycles and getting your period back and all of that. So stay tuned for that in a couple weeks or months, really. But it wasn't until I started recovery from my eating disorder in college that I really tackled my relationship with exercise. I actually wasn't allowed, per my medical team, to engage in activity for 3 years. 3 years. It's crazy. That is not a typical case for someone recovering from an eating disorder, but in my case with anorexia that had been around for 5 or 6 years and it had really taken a toll on my body, on my bones, my heart, my weight, my reproductive system. So many things were out of whack that I really had to just like cool it on activity, and then started incorporating exercise again 3 years later. So when I was like 23 or so, and now I'm 25, I've been exercising consistently for maybe 2.5 years, and my relationship with exercise is completely different. I love moving my body. It is so much fun. My reasons for moving my body are entirely different. I don't count calories. I don't weigh myself. My goals fitness-wise are very much, getting stronger, reaching certain times for running, accomplishing different goals. It's just been so much fun to figure out what I like. And so I hope just talking through some examples of how to improve your relationship with exercise and find the things that you enjoy would be helpful to you as well. So typically for an individual who is going through recovery from an eating disorder and compulsive exercise is a part of their disorder, they will be recommended to stop or really limit the type of exercise that they're doing. Again, my case was unique in that I stopped all exercise besides, activities of daily daily living, walking to and from class, things like that, because my body was so sensitive to extra calories being exerted through exercise that I just couldn't really afford to lose energy in that way. But if you are in eating disorder recovery or considering starting recovery, which I cannot recommend enough to literally anyone, please go get help. Recovery is the best decision I've ever made, second only to accepting Christ. But conversation for a different day. I'll link my testimony somewhere here. I want to warn you that you probably will be asked to seriously limit the amount of exercise that you're doing, and that is for your good. It's for your body to heal. It's for your mind to heal, so that when you're medically and mentally stable, you're able to actually incorporate exercise from a place of wholeness and healing and just general health. So that for me looked like 3 years of stopping exercise. A lot of times in recovery, that looks like really just limiting the number of days or the amount of time you're exercising, really having a great medical team that's watching your weight, your lab values, your vital signs, other markers of your health internally, and also working with a therapist and dietitian to monitor your nutrition status and mental state as well, which are both, of course, big components of your relationship with exercise. So just full warning, you probably will be asked to change the way that you're exercising or stop all exercise when you are in recovery from an eating disorder. Common types of activity that are allowed in eating disorder recovery would be things like restorative yoga, walking, maybe light strength training type things. Those are typically like the transition forms of exercise or movement that are introduced in certain stages of recovery. So once someone has reached, their weight stable place, they've gotten to an appropriate weight range as determined by their treatment team, where they are stable and that is appropriate for their body and life experiences and just family history and genetic markers and all of these things, they might be able to start incorporating, a couple times a week, restorative yoga, walking, strength training, things like that. And then usually when you get to a place of really solid nutrition for like a year, 6 months to a year, I've heard, where you have been following a meal plan really consistently, you're meeting all your nutrition goals, your weight and medical indicators of health are stable, they'll probably transition you to something called intuitive eating, which we can talk about another time, and then eventually intuitive movement, which is so much fun, and that's the place where I'm at right now. I no longer work with a dietitian, but I worked with one for probably 6 years, and it was just the best experience ever. I mean, it was really freaking hard, but I feel like I'm in a place now where I eat what I want, I eat what sounds good, I eat pretty balanced and well-rounded, and then I just move in a way that feels good to me. Now, I know everyone watching this video will not have an eating disorder history or be actively struggling with an eating disorder per se, but if you feel like your relationship with exercise is just not the best, or your relationship with your body isn't the best, you don't know if you really fall in that diagnostic criteria for an eating disorder or even disordered eating, I just recommend, if you feel like exercise has become a crutch to where it's the only thing that makes you feel good about yourself, the only thing that makes you feel like you can justify eating what you want to eat, or the only thing that makes you feel like your body is okay, take a break if you can. Really just see how you do mentally with a week off of exercise, a couple weeks, a month. I took 3 years. It was really hard, but it was great. And just see what happens. See how your mind reacts, see how your body reacts, and kind of just cope with those feelings that come up. Like, what do you think about yourself? What do you feel about yourself when you aren't able to exercise? Because realistically, y'all, like, we're gonna go through life and have lots of seasons where we're not able to exercise, whether it's immediate postpartum, after surgery, injury. So many things can happen that we just won't foresee that will limit our ability to exert ourselves physically, and we need to be okay with what might happen to our bodies and minds when we aren't actively exercising all the time. And then for those of you who are incorporating exercise back into your lives, congratulations, first of all. That's a huge deal, especially if you've struggled with compulsive exercise in the past and you are now in a healthy place to start reincorporating things. The biggest thing I feel like people struggle with is just managing triggers. Getting back into gym culture is really hard. You also don't have to go to a gym. I, for a long time, did not. I was really freaked out by gyms. I go now and I love it. But I was like, I don't want to be around those people. They're weird. They're like grunting when they're picking up their weights, and they're just like, you know what I mean, gym culture. But there are so many different types of movement that you can do, and I love that. And I feel like the recovery community is so great at just talking about the diversity of exercise options. You've got walking, running, yoga, cycling, HIIT classes, boxing, dancing, swimming, bike riding, rock climbing, so many things. And I think reincorporating exercise, whether you've taken a full break or just taken a pause to reevaluate your relationship with movement, taking that time to rediscover what you actually like to do and not things you're just forcing yourself to do is a really scary process, but also really freeing and fun. I made myself do yoga, like hot yoga, that intense, kind of dangerous yoga. I don't like it anymore. I made myself do that in my eating disorder, and you could not pay me to go to one of those classes now because I think I would pass out. I honestly don't know how I didn't pass out when I was really sick. The flip side, I also ran in my eating disorder. I was really scared to reincorporate running into my life because I was convinced that, oh my gosh, I used this when I was really anorexic. This must not be something I can ever do again because it's just going to be triggering, and I must stay away from running as best as I can. Honestly, thinking about running in that way really kept me from trusting myself and recognizing the progress I had made in my own recovery and being like, no, Emily, we were manipulating running, 10 years ago? It's okay for us to try running again as long as you really want it. Like, as long as you are genuinely excited to run and want to see what it feels like in your body, and it's not about calories or weight or manipulation and control. I was just so scared of doing an activity that had been something that I did in a body that was sick. And if that is the case for you and you want to try something that you used to do when you were really unwell mentally and physically, obviously, speak with a counselor, with a medical team of, making sure that you are mentally, physically stable enough to try that. But I would just recommend trusting yourself, especially if you've been in recovery for a while and you feel like those other elements of your health and well-being are in a really stable spot. Go ahead and try it. I mean, I am so thankful I tried running again because I adore running now, which is crazy to say. I know a lot of people hate running. I love it. I started running again in the fall of last year, so we're coming up on a year, because my friend wanted to run a turkey trot together, and I was like, sure, I used to run these when I was sick, but let's just see how it goes in a healthy, weight-restored, just nourished body. And y'all, it is a night and day difference. Running and really just exercising in general in a nourished body, it feels so good. It's fun, it feels empowering, I feel strong and healthy, and I will cry if I talk about it for too long. I did cry when I ran my first half marathon last year. I was just like a mess of tears because I was so thankful that my body was in a healthy enough spot to do this in a healthy way. It was strengthening my bones and my muscles, and it was good for my heart and not damaging to it, and just all around like a life-giving thing. And so I think viewing exercise as this opportunity to add more life and like abundance to the life that you're already living, and it's an opportunity to celebrate your body and move towards good health and just honor the body that God has given you is such a beautiful opportunity that we have for those of us who are fortunate enough to be able to exercise. So I encourage you to try to look at movement in that way. And just view it as like a celebration, because it is, and it's really, really fun when you find the things that you like. Okay, so some specific questions that people sent in over Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, I'll link my handle either on the screen or in the description below. I will sometimes put up like question boxes and prompts for YouTube videos. So if you like asking people questions or want to know more about certain topics, feel free to head over there. But someone asked about toxic gym culture, and specifically gym buddies who don't have a healthy relationship with exercise, but you're like going to the gym with them. At least this is how I interpreted this person's question. I exercise alone. I don't go to the gym with people unless I'm taking like a group fitness class. Sorry, my feet are falling asleep. I prefer to exercise alone. I have my routine, I have my playlist and my equipment, and like I just very much get in the zone and do my thing. I get really good music on, or a podcast sometimes if I'm on the treadmill, and just kind of zone out. I focus on myself, I focus on my form, I focus on, if I'm lifting weights or doing a core workout or something, of really engaging those muscles. I'm thinking, okay, I'm like working my biceps, I'm working my core, I'm doing a squat, let me think about how my thighs feel, and generally just getting that mind-body connection going. If it's someone that you're working out with and you're genuinely concerned, I would bring it up with them. I mean, it of course depends on your relationship with that person, but framing conversations by saying something like, hey, I have noticed X, Y, and Z behavior, factual things. As your friend, I am concerned about X, Y, and Z, and I just want to be a support system for you. Can I help you? Is there anything going on that you want to talk about? I'm here for you. Don't label them or anything that they're doing as disordered or unhealthy. Those words, I think, can be triggering and just keep people on the defensive when it comes to these conversations. So I recommend having a conversation in a private place and just approaching that topic from a place of compassion and empathy for that person and just care for them. But yeah, it's hard, and I feel you. If you really are in a toxic gym culture, maybe try to find a different gym. If you're going to like a boutique fitness studio like an Orange Theory or a cycle bar or something, if that's not a life-giving place for you and it's not fostering a healthy relationship with your body and with exercise, again, maybe consider going somewhere else, finding a different instructor that you just vibe with better and going only to their classes. Even bringing concerns up to management of those places could be really good. And again, if you're going to the gym with someone who just has a weird relationship with exercise, maybe just separate or something. If they're doing weightlifting in the weight room, maybe you go to the elliptical or vice versa or something, and just mixing things up. But the best thing you can do is just to kind of keep your focus on yourself and what you're doing and why you're doing it, and just fostering that healthy relationship with your body. And then I want to end this video specifically addressing if you just are struggling with an eating disorder, disordered eating, negative body image, compulsive exercise in general, please, 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 please get help. There are so many wonderful resources out there for great therapists, dietitians, medical providers, psychiatrists, so many people who are eager to help you. You deserve to get help. You deserve to have a healthy relationship with your body, with your mind, with food, with exercise. These are things that are possible for you. I promise. I really, really promise that. You deserve to have a healthy, fulfilling life that is good for your body and your mind and your soul, and you do not have to live forever obsessed with exercise, with food, and with your body, okay? That is not what God wants for you. That's not what I want for you. That is not what anyone wants for you, okay? So, that being said, I'm gonna link a bunch of resources that I have linked in other videos as well in the description down below. If you ever have any questions specifically for me, or if I can point you in the right direction of different resources or general advice, feel free to direct message me, comment on a video, whatever you need. I will probably point you in the direction of professional help because I'm very pro seeing professionals. If it's something specific, I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability, but I cannot recommend enough getting professional help, okay? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this and to stay up to date with what I'm sharing. But I just appreciate you watching if you've watched this far. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you are able to move your body in ways that feel good and honor your heart this week.